All right, so we continue. We continue with the second part of this. And so I need your help here too, of course, in the, say, making this something that we share and put ourselves into. So I will ask you to say participate in some writing on the whiteboard. That's one thing that happens. So I actually want to pull up some sheets that I made for this, and maybe the first one would be the lines that we used in the meditation, because you might have read it, but it might not be clear what it says. And so I'm using this now. And I'm using this for a very specific reason, like that's why it came too. It's like this is such a beautiful expression of, in fact, also the paradox, but also to go beyond the paradox and see that there is no paradox. So there's a lot of information, so to speak, in this what is being shared. So one of it is like the first lines: God creates only mind awake. He does not sleep, and his creations cannot share what he gives not, nor make conditions which he does not share with them. To start with that, which is great. That's a great set of. Like it tells you in the awakened mind, like in you and your awakening, catch glimpses of reality, of that what is. See, and you also discover then what God created has nothing to do with temporalness. It has nothing to do with, in that sense, with existence. It has nothing to do with any of that. So it only creates like itself. So it's like if God is love, then God created you as the love that he is. He cannot create something else. So then you see the whole definition that you had about yourself as a human being, like in your human description of yourself or human identification. You see that you're actually holding something up that isn't what God created. So it gives you all kinds of situations and conditions and events and circumstances that are all based on the idea of, in fact, something that is not. So that's a real interesting discovery, of course, in our awakening. But it also takes away the confusion about the two states that you could say are there. It's like the one state, you knowing yourself to be an you could call like a self-made human being with an identity and an image, and on the other hand, you being created by God as whole and perfect, and that is in fact your own reality, and you can get in touch with it. You can actually experience that. So this is the part that was shared in fact the first 4 sentences of this. So to show the last 5, or what is it? See, the thought of death is not the opposite of the thoughts of life. Forever unopposed by opposites of any kind, the thought of God remain forever changeless. The thoughts of God remain forever changeless, with the power to extend forever changelessly, but yet within themselves, for they are everywhere. Now, I don't want to stand still too long with this, but you see, it's like forever unopposed by opposites of any kind. The thoughts of God remain forever changeless. Now, the question is, and this is what makes this coming together interesting to me, is this. It's like, okay, so in God there are no opposites. Yeah, and in God there are no opposites. You love to hear this and say like, yeah, I love that. That's great. I love that. I love that information. Yeah, I recognize that as part of my true sense, my true self. I recognize that. And so now here in our, say, admission, in the consciousness that we find ourselves in, you might definitely experience opposites, right? Now let's start with that. Right. So I will make it a bit bigger. Like which opposite is right in your face at this point? Restlessness versus focus, dedication versus laziness, expansion versus stagnation, pain versus harmony, joy versus sadness, indecision versus wholeness, fear versus peace, love versus fear, lack versus abundance, moving between two opposite worlds, my mind in the mind of God, moving forward, moving backward. So you see, all these opposites are right here. So apparently we have recognition with the topic, right? So you could say, like, how amazing is that? So it's like in God there are no opposites, and what are you experiencing on a daily basis? Opposites. Like, wow, that is amazing. So you wanna and this is why it comes up, it's like it's really the time to bring this together in the sense of to see why this is this way, and to be able then from this point on to move forward instead of lingering in this confusion or lingering in this it's almost like a circle, right? It's like how do you get out of it? You could ask. How could you possibly get out of it? So what I'm going to share with you now is, in fact, say not just an answer to it. It is more like it will I say activate something in you, and a recognition, or you'll see how that works for you. I cannot. It is so individual how you experience this, but at least for me, when I read again what was given, I like, wow, this is so beautiful. If you see how the clarity with which this is given, literally puts something in place inside of you. Like suddenly something becomes clear. So like I said in the beginning too, this is what I wholeheartedly want to extend to you. In that sense, like if it could be as clear to you as it is to me when I read it, like, yeah, absolutely. So anyway, so I'm see, it's with words so amazing how that goes. Because the tools that we're using is not truth itself either. That's so amazing too. We looked at that before. So here's a fresh set of sheets, so to speak, where we're going to take a look at. And so the paradox of eternal life, introduction. This is today. Taking another look at the obvious of your existence. Like it's obvious for you to face opposites and contradictions. Now here it is. So here are some reminders. Like I do this very systematically. Some reminders. Don't forget here. So this is about the truth of who you are. You are life eternal forever and extending into the universe forever. You are life eternal forever and extending into the universe forever. Forever. See, now, it's like you are forever. Like this, you're one with God forever. You're, you know, the love of God itself forever. Nothing can change that. Like these remembrances, or I said in front of it, it's like, remember this. It's like you're going to remember this, and that's not just by recalling the phrases or reading them again, but and I come to this a lot. It's like this asks of you to receive this, and that's where the whole thing happens. Is in fact, like by you receiving this, what is given, you come into an experience. This is also what Joel says in one of his talks. Is like true prayer is experience. Like true prayer is experience. Well, this is exactly what I'm sharing with you. It's like these phrases, apparently phrases, are actually your invitation, your personal invitation to an experience that will be so clear to you, that will give you everything, like beyond words and thoughts. You know, so like these episodes, these moments are more and more coming to you and more needed in your awakening, just because, in fact, by exposing yourself to these ideas, you see that the conflict increases in your mind. Like, I know there's a loving God, and why do I feel anger? Why do I, like, all these whys? All these questions that arise, in fact, because the conflict in you is increased by you opening up to the light. And this is the last thing that you would expect in your spiritual path. You know, it's like that's the last thing you would expect to happen. You would either think that you are put down on a bed of bliss, and you reside there for a moment until this is all over. You know, and not having to take care of your monthly rent bill or who knows what. You know, so it's like you have a certain image of what that would mean, and that has nothing to do with the actual occurrence that is taking place in you in this awakening. You know, so it's like you try to place everything inside this dream of you, inside your sleepy state. You try to bring in all kinds of aspects that you could really well use in this definition of limitation that you're walking around in, when you are walking around in it, in your consciousness, when there really doesn't seem to be a way out of it at all. When you feel pain, when you say bump up against limitation and stagnation, and all this, you know, it's like all the opposites that we were talking about just a moment ago, that you wrote down. Like that is exactly what we're talking about. That can only change by a different experience of you. That has nothing to do with this dream sleepy state that you think is your existence. You know, and of course you have heard this before. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But the practical implication of it becomes more and more obvious, and also more and more conflictual inside yourself. At least I can probably get an agreement on that from you. And if not, well, it will come. It will come, like it's inevitable. Because, in fact, it is a total paradox. It is a total paradox. You hear about love and infinity and perfection, and you bump your head against something, and you need like a band-aid to get it fixed or something. Just as a little example, but you can give me much more and better examples of it. So that's really that's why it's so great to now not stay in that and not staying with that, but allowing it, in fact, to change. So if we can come to that today, like you become, say, open to, oh yeah, wait a minute, maybe if I look at it in a different way, it will become easier for me to handle this, and handling in the sense of not trying to look for it in a place where it cannot be found. So that is really the healing aspect of this class. In fact, of this. Here's one more. So this is your koan for today. Remember, there is no alternative to your perfection. Well, there's no alternative to your perfection. So that's remembering phrase number 2 for today. There's no alternative to your perfection. This is so wonderful. So this is great. So you can say, come back to you, because I love to, So I love to do this way and come back to you and look you right in the face, like here we're talking about, like there's no opposite to perfection. That is not, it's comforting on one hand, and it's very uncomfortable on the other hand. In other words, what happens here, and this is where you expose yourself to, and you could say like this is an advanced class, it's like you actually expose yourself to more conflict, because it becomes very obvious, say, what you are doing with your mind, and it becomes very obvious that that has nothing to do and will never be, say, related to the perfection that you are. Your conflict has no solution. Like it has no solution while you're continuously looking for a solution to your problems or to your conflict. Like, no, this conflict only goes by you accepting your true identity and awakening in that. It's like being born again. You know all these phrases, but now we go, say, do some some brain surgery, some mind surgery, and not to establish that, but more like this has no chance of making it through. This has no chance of taking that with you into the kingdom. It's like, no, you have to leave that behind. You cannot bring that to the kingdom. No, you come with empty hands. You come with empty hands to your Father. That's really the. But like I said, we're gonna bring, in fact, this conflict to a real climax. I hope that will happen for you, so that you see it's hopeless to keep holding on to ideas that are actually not helping you at all. So you decide to stay and listen to me. That's really great. I love that. So that's why I need your full attention here. Otherwise, nothing is gonna happen. It's like, no, there's no distraction here. Just stay right here. I need you here. Here, listen to this. Human consciousness, it is a self-definition of its own existence. It defines itself in its own existence. Well, that's an interesting idea. Human consciousness defines itself in its existence. It literally makes it up on the go. It literally makes it up, makes its identity up on the go. You learn as a child to become something like an adult with a certain identity. You're going to make that. You're going to define that yourself. You can change your self-definition every 5 minutes. I think you do. Like in your mind, you redefine yourself every maybe 10 minutes. You have a different definition of yourself. This is human consciousness, and you wonder why you're in conflict, right? Okay, so that was only one of the blocks here. Oh, the next one, physicality. Whatever you think you are, you're not going to be a body form. You are not going to be a body form because you simply are not. So all the expressions, all the things that you relate to the idea of your body, you're not going to be a body form. You never will be a body form. So you feel that there's a split there. It's like whatever I identify myself with isn't even what I am. Unbelievable. Whoa, there's a lot of healing possible there. There's a lot of healing possible there. So we come back to that. Dilemma. So here we have a real dilemma. In the human consciousness we have a real dilemma, especially when we're waking up, because we hear something else, something new, something that is about our eternal state of being. The dilemma is this: the mediation attempt of the eternal with the temporal. You're trying to combine, to blend the two into one, like your human existence into your spiritual man existence. You really think that you can mix up time and eternity and make a mix of it, thinking that you will be saved in the future, or that you can stay for a moment here, but will leave and change everything into an eternal life. Or who knows how you do this? Maybe we come back to that too. It's like, but the attempt to mediate the eternal with the temporal is a real distraction and a real hobby of the awakening mind, like on the spiritual path. You think it's great to try to implement the two, the eternal in the temporal state. You really think that makes sense. That's the problem with the human consciousness, that hears about awakening, but at the same time is fitting everything, like I just shared too. Like, I'm gonna come back here. Like it, like I said, it's trying to combine the two, bringing it into the sleep state, like into your human frame of reference, bringing your spiritual ideas back into your human frame of reference, and thinking that that's a real helpful way of dealing with it. I do my meditation, I still have pain. I do this and I still experience that. You know, all these things. Like you really think that there's a way to measure your spiritual growth by the perception of you, like by you perceiving the things and judging yourself for it. And you also use it against yourself by thinking that you're not doing it good enough, thinking that you should already be somewhere else, while you still find yourself in deep pain because of some idea that is still there lingering. You know, so these conflicts are enormous, but like the temptation to use spirituality to attack yourself, in fact, which is one of the characteristics of the human mind. It attacks itself, it destroys itself, it exhausts itself, it hurts itself, and it fools itself. It cannot be honest with itself. It's really, yeah, like an addictive mind. Like it cannot be honest with itself. It has just one goal, picking up another glass or whatever, like hurting myself even more. And that is the, say, part of the human mind. So the mind changes in the awakening, sure, but that happens in the moments that you are literally lifted out of this here, having a deep experience of peace, and joining with your brother in one mind. That brings that about. That is your say, deep, profound experience of there is something else, and that something else is what I am. Then you come back to an existence that has shifted in time, like by you escaping out of this for a moment, coming back to it, you actually step into a different time already. But still, you find yourself in a temporal sequence of human existence. So why am I saying it like this? It's like the reason why I do this is like this comes back in so many ways that you try to mix the two, try to fit your spiritual discoveries or phrases that you recognize and try to apply them in an say a dualistic setting. You try to do that, and that you better stop doing that. You have no reason to do that because it's not going to be fruitful. What is fruitful is you coming out of this frame for a moment, like experiencing your connectedness, entering into a deep peace, or joining with your brother in the one mind, in one love, and feeling the connectedness and the connection. That is going to bring that about. The rest, not at all. Not at all. It's like there's nothing happening in that. It is in fact a distraction. Okay, so the healing resolution. This mediation attempt of putting the temporal in, of putting the eternal into the temporal, like putting eternal ideas into your human frame of limited existence, if you stop doing that, then you see like there is no solution to this place where I find myself, this human existence. There is no solution to it. I'm admitting that there's no solution to that. This is where the healing can take place. So by you giving up all attempts to try to glue or to put or to rub or whatever spiritual ideas into your human existence, when you give that up, you make one huge step forward. So, and then at the same time, of course, it's like allow this change to occur. Allow yourself a new experience of yourself by practicing the miracle, by practicing the holy instant, by practicing light and love experiences, or however you want to call it. Like I said just a moment ago, the sharing with your brother in the one mind, feeling that you're communicating as one. Oops. So the offering is then transformation of your mind, because it's not going to be found in the temporal frame of reference. That's not where you have to look for it. It's absolutely useless. The transformation of your mind will bring this about. And that means you're opening up for a whole new experience of yourself that has nothing to do with your definitions. So movement, I use the word movement, so we are practicing the rediscovery together. So you're not doing this by yourself. That's why we come together in this meeting too. Like we do this together. We saw that all the way. Yeah, here we go. Introduction to the paradox. The nature, so there are 4 points. The nature of human consciousness is a definition of its existent self. It is made up. Definitions of self-existence. Each one of us is evolved or involved in that definition. So if you evolve in that definition, then you see that it doesn't catch you into eternity, like into a state of heaven. When you're involved in the definition, you're actually completely immersed in it, like you become the human. You become the human. As you started before you got your, say, spiritual insight, your spiritual, like when you were feeling a hand on your shoulders, like there's more. It is not this, there's more. something happened at that point. So here's another admission. You use your self-certainty both to deny and affirm the reality of God. And I come with some expressions later on. Like you use your self-certainty both to deny and affirm the reality of God. Christ mind expression. Directly, immediately, and inevitably not accepted by you. It's like, huh? What? Yeah, exactly. So now we go to this. I'm using this, so I introduced this a little bit. So we go to the Beatitudes. You know, you've read them, and the interesting thing is when you read it. I don't know if you recently read it. You know, the Beatitude is like the Sermon on the Mount of Jesus going onto the mountain. It says like he opens his mouth and starts to speak to his disciples. So he actually tells them something about this, don't forget this, look at this, and this is what I'm telling you. So now what Jesus is telling in the Sermon on the Mount, and we're not going through the whole thing, but it's absolutely worth reading it, Matthew 5-7. Absolutely useful to read it. It is interesting, it is my experience, like interesting to see what happens when you read these sentences. When you read through these sentences, to see what your mind does with it. And an honest admission then can be that you see that this part of your mind with which you read it immediately wants to put it aside, drop it, not doing anything with it. Coming up with almost like there's a beautiful word for it. See if I can get to it. I'll come to it. Because it is so part of the human mind. It's unbelievable. Oh yeah, mental retardation. That was the word. Mental retardation. That means, what do you mean? No, you heard it. No, you heard it. So you don't have to come with the idea that you didn't hear it. So this is what in the course is called like mental retardation. You behave yourself as if you didn't understand what you heard, using that as an escape to not have to accept what it actually says. So is it nasty if I'm saying these things? I hope you can be okay with that. Like mental retardation, imagine that. But see, let's read some of these Beatitudes and see what happens. But take a look at what your mind does with it. I'm not saying that you have to. Maybe you accept it completely and are in total acceptance of what is being shared. Hey, no problem. That's fantastic. So these are kind of easy still. They're a bit further away. They can be a definition about anyone. And they seem to be general expressions, but they actually only have to do with you. So here we are. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. And this last expression is very lovely to hear too, of course. So that's like great. So I don't know if you noticed something. If not, we're just going to continue. Like these are not all the Beatitudes, like there are more. So I just took 6 out of them. I think there are 8 of them. But they're all great, lovely. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, pure in heart, for they shall see God. Okay, so Sermon on the Mount. So this is the continuation, and this is in fact the next page. Christ expressions. So I used 2 of them, 2 Christ expressions. These were shared by Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount. So instead of love your friends and hate your enemies, as the human expression would be, this is love your enemy. I say to you, love your enemies. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. So this is Christ's expression 1. So the second one is this one. You know this one probably too. Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? So you can practice this, of course, anytime. I'm sharing these because of they are so helpful to see what you do with that. To deeply let these expressions sink into your consciousness, to deeply feel them like as the meaning that they have, it takes in fact great courage and great honesty. Like I said, the temptation of mental retardation, or like ignorance, or saying like, "Well, that's a great expression, and that's a great expression. Let's not accept that." Can be a temptation. I'm just saying these things like as an expression of my my own experience with this. Like, Yes, I did that too. Yes, I did that too. To accept this completely will give me, in fact, an experience of something else. Like the active idea of prayer, as Joel Goldsmith said it, it's like it leads to an experience. That's the same here. And that's the invitation here in what I'm presenting here to you. This is not about more concepts. You have enough of them. It is not about a Bible study. No, this is for you an opportunity to come to a direct experience of yourself. And these expressions are in fact invitations to go that place. Like there's literally nothing that Jesus shares in the New Testament that isn't a portal. Like he is a portal himself. No one comes to heaven but through me. Doesn't mean that you have to dive into him in some kind of way. No, it's like, no, he is the portal. So in his expression, you can literally disappear into light and love. That is what that means. So that is continuously an invitation. And now with our increased conflict in becoming very much aware in how much denial we are accepting our existence or ourselves as we made ourselves, this becomes even more urgent. And that was a really good word. Like it becomes urgent because you don't want to fall into the trap of guilt or an idea of sin, of this or that. No, you want to get out of that. You want to forgive yourself. You don't want to judge a brother, but you don't know how not to do that. And that's why you need help. That's why, see, you cannot use spiritual ideas to get out of that. That's the whole thing. It's like you cannot conceptually apply these ideas in order to be healed of it, however much you want that. But we overcame this dilemma that we were sharing just a moment ago by realizing, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. This is only going to work by me dying daily into this, giving up that I can talk myself out of this, that I can talk myself out of my own existence into heaven. So that's an incredible speed up for your awakening. You have no idea. Oh my God, I'm running out of time. I love to share this. Oh my God. Oh, this is the last page, is that? Oh, good. Oh, that's wonderful. I think this is the last page, yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's so wonderful. I really thought I didn't make it, and now I was here already. Oh, that's good. See, this is an expression of my love for you. It's like, yeah, whatever I can do to express this is by allowing myself to fall into this experience, allowing myself to be born again, to experience the love of God, to come into a holy instant with you, to literally pray in with the experience of something else as the next step of it. That is the only opportunity. That's the only purpose I have here in sharing these ideas. And you see, you get very excited about the action of that. So this was, in fact, the first, the introduction to the paradox of eternal life. So if you have any questions, please do ask them. Use email or WhatsApp. You can find it on the website, or you can find an email address on the YouTube channel too. So always feel free to do that. And the other thing is, you can also use it's like 20-minute consultations. Like, I'm always open to that too. Like, just write me and do it. If you have a question, if you want some clarity or whatever, like, not that I know everything, but in our recognition of a true purpose and my willingness to join with you and your willingness to join with me, we're not doing this alone. So we have such an amazing provision, out of time provision, that literally lifts us out of here, by our wanting that above all else. So don't forget that. That's really where we, the movement, so to speak, like I wrote in the last thing, is like, this is the movement. We're on our way to experience this together, and we're right on the edge of it. So it can happen any moment. So thank you for everything. And I saw some text coming in, some chat. So I'll take a look at that. So can you please explain poor in spirit? Yeah, of course. With what mind are we listening and meditating together? Exactly. Can you send us the PDF for this, please? Yes, absolutely. All of that, yeah. So I'll take these questions with me, because the Sermon on the Mount will slip in now and then, and next meeting I will definitely come back to that, and maybe I'll write you an email about it, or who knows how that goes. But because the Sermon on the Mount is really helpful, because it's a direct expression of Jesus to his disciples. Okay, so one of the questions was like, with what mind are we meditating? It's like that really is a very individual question that you only can answer yourself. If you experience timelessness and an expansion that has nothing to do with this limited definition of yourself, you can call it a holy instant. You know that you're meditating with one mind. And on a process to experiencing that, or being ready for the transformation of your mind to let that change occur, you see that the meditation is an attempt, as you do it with your human intention, like, okay, I'm gonna go meditate to become quiet and to get a certain stillness in myself, to in fact still connecting to my human ideas about something to achieve. That's where it will stay, that's where it will stay until suddenly something shifts in you. Then there's something else possible, but that will always be an experience of not this. It's like with your good intentions you're not going to achieve it, or no, it's all about you stepping out of the way in order for this to happen. And that sounds weird because you're totally part of it too. There's another paradox. You're totally part of it and yet you step aside. So it takes a little bit more than just a few words to come to clarity about this. That's why I booked like 6 sessions here. So I hope that you will come back next week and we can continue. In the meantime, I definitely sent you this PDF and sent you another one for the next meeting, because this, like I said, is a real possibility for an increase of the conflict in your mind in order to get clarity and say literally feel yourself moving in the direction of, yes, I want this above all else, and allowing that to open your consciousness sufficiently to have a different experience of yourself. So I'm stopping talking now because it's not necessary to say anything else. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything, and see you soon. Thank you.